They go to the body, the commanders kick it, notice it's not moving, it's lifeless. They get someone to bring a trolley in, put the body on it, and just cart it out. My early childhood was one of violence and being subjected to beatings, and my dad was just sitting in the house getting bevied all the time. He was on the ale, you know. And he was a bit of a boxer back in his day. So for me, I wanted to impress him and I wanted to be acknowledged and loved by him, and I joined a boxing club. It was more of a family than the one at home. And I remember running home excited, telling my dad that I was having a fight. It was my first fight, it was in Waterloo. And he was sitting in the front room, smoking a cigarette, with his can of lager by the side of the chair. I was about 12, 13 years old. I said, "I'm fighting, Dad." And he didn't even look at me. He just said, "If you don't knock him out in the first round, I'm going to knock you out." That's all he said to me.
What did boxing mean for you at this time?
Boxing, to me, you know, I had about 16 fights and I won a massive majority of them. You know, I had dreams. I wanted to join the army. I wanted to box for England. And I kind of like found myself moving away from it, because I started finding, you know, friends outside of the gym. The training and the thought of training became a little bit, can't be bothered. Getting up in the morning, doing that run, going to the gym. You know, I felt like I was missing out all the time. If I go to the gym, I'm going to miss out on this. I'm getting offered joints and drinks and I don't want it, but I feel I need to fit in. You picked up a substance. Now you need to go and fund the habit that you've developed. And that's what happened for me. You know, and it started small, car stereos, wheel trims, you know, doing what you do as kids to fund these little drug habits that you've got, because we're all skint. There's no money, there's no jobs.
How old were you the first time you went to jail, and what was it for?
I was, I think it was about 17. It was an attempted robbery. I was hooked by this time on heroin, and I just went out and robbed someone. Well, I tried to, and I get arrested by the police, and they remand me in HMYOY Hinley in Wigan. And I remember sitting in my cell one morning, and the weather was booming outside. It was dead hot. I thought, I've had enough of this. I can't cope. I can't carry on like this no more. I want to phone my mum. I haven't spoken to my mum for about a year. She doesn't know where I am. I don't think my ma cares. I don't think anyone cares. I'm not getting no letters. I'm not getting no visits. You know, I feel really lonely. Dials my mum's number. She answers after a few rings, and I said, "Mum, it's me, Billy." And as soon as she heard my voice, I could hear the love, and wow, yeah. It just hit me like a ton of bricks, like solid in the chest, and I had this overwhelming feeling of like emotion, and my eyes were welling up, but these two screws were standing next to me, and I thought, I cannot blink here. I couldn't even speak to my mum because I knew my voice would tremble and the tears would just fall down my face. And she knew, it was like a mother's instinct. She just said, "Son, I know you're in. Just ask for help." And I went, okay. I just gritted my teeth. I was okay. I just went back to the cell, sat in that cell, and I sobbed. Once that door was shut, I wrote a letter to a probation officer. They came to see me. He said, "What can we do?" I said, "Look, I'm on drugs. I want to get off them. I don't want to get out, and I don't want to live the life I'm living. What can you do for me?" They said, we can put you up in a rehabilitation upon release." I'd relocated to Bristol. You know, I thought like geographically Liverpool was the problem, and I never understood that the problem lies within. It always has done. So I met this kid from Liverpool called Ben, and he'd had 5 years clean. Now I had about 3 months under my belt. So he was a god. I put him on a pedestal. 5 years. How have you stayed clean off heroin and crack cocaine, lad, for 5 years? And he was just showing me, this new way of life. He was, full of adventure. He'd been abroad. I thought, I haven't left Liverpool. He's telling me he's going to Thailand. He'd been the year before. Would I like to come? Showed me this idea. Told me what a great place it was to be. The food, the culture, everything about it was incredible. And I fell in love with the thought of it. Yeah, we go. 3 months backpacking. That was the plan anyway. And I'm like a world-class card-carrying pleasure seeker. I just want to, experience fun and joy in every other way but taking drugs. So I want to relive like lost dreams, and I want them to awaken. And I loved boxing as a kid, and I loved Muay Thai boxing. I love watching it. I love watching the sport. I remember my mate saying to me, "Don't get in the ring with these Thais, lad. They'll break your ribs." So I got in the ring. And I swear I got my ribs broken within the first 2 rounds. And I learned a lesson, and I was resenting the kid who did it, and I said, I'll come back. And 6 weeks later, I got back in and I beat him. And I fell in love with it.
Boxing, did that become your kind of predominant thing that you ended up doing in Thailand? Like, was that your main focus?
Yeah, boxing was definitely my main focus in Thailand. It kept me there. It gave me purpose. I was disciplined. I was maintaining my recovery. And what it did do was, because I was, because I could speak English, obviously, and we'd walk around with the box, and I'd speak to the other tourists and say, can we support these boxers because they're putting on a show, and they'd give me a little bit of money at the end of the night. And it became a regular thing every single night. I was fighting 3-4 times a night. But I always fought, even though they were, like, it was show fights to them, to me, it was a real fight. I was moving away from, like, the meetings and recovery and spending more time, with these Thais and in the ring and meeting girls. And I met this girl and I fell in love with her. She couldn't speak a word of English. The relationship was based on a dictionary, and I found out that she had another fella or another partner. And I was just so broken and so hurt and so deluded. And all my feelings were all over the place. And getting in the ring was not the answer. It didn't solve the problem. It didn't take away the pain. And I remember sitting in a bar on my own, staring at this drink. And I said, "Can I have a double whiskey?" Poured it. It's in front of me. You got to remember, I'm 3 years abstinence at this time, sitting there staring at it. And it's like I'm fighting with myself. And the it's kicked in. And I just picked it up and I drank it, and that was it. Picked up the phone, spoke to another foreigner that I knew. He was actively taking drugs and drinking. I told him to meet me. He met up and said, "What do you need?" I said, "Cocaine." Came back about 5 minutes later and gave us these little pink pills with WY on them. I said, "What are we going to do with these? They want tablets. Didn't want ecstasy." Or, no, you smoke them, put them on the foil. Started to show us how to do it. Brought a little tube, put it in the mouth, put a little flame under this pill, and it just changed. It turned into oil. It started as a bubble, and smoke started to come up. It was passed to me. Just a nail bill. Wow. I had this feeling that just took over. It was just exhilarating. I wanted more.
Were you aware of the potential consequences of being caught with drugs in Thailand? Because it's quite severe penalties.
Do you know what? To be honest, I remember it didn't really hit home when I was buying these drugs and taking them. I felt I was untouchable. I was invincible because the police would pull you up regular on these motorbikes, and you wouldn't be wearing helmets, and they'd be taking backhanders off you, and you know they were corrupt as, you know, as the police force over there is. And that's what I thought would happen. You know, I'd always get away with it. To be fair, I developed a habit with the yabba, right? That's it. As soon as I pick up, I'm using. I'm in the grip of addiction. I need to fund it. Fighting wasn't enough. I wasn't earning enough money. Someone offered me a way out. Here's a pack of pills. Sell them to the tourists in the clubs. You know, you can use. You can pay us what you need to, and life can be a little bit better for you. So that's what I did. And big mistake. And when they raided my room, the police, they were looking around. And like, is this like a fucking Rambo movie? What's going on here? There was no windows in this apartment. It was just a dingy little apartment. I shut the door, sat with me back against it, thinking, oh, you're messing. Bam, 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 bam. Doors getting banged on. Just a bang, 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 bang. Open the door, police. And I went, no, I don't believe you. Froze your ID. And I was stalling and knew straight away, the police, know what I mean? An ID card come under the door. I didn't even look at it, I just seen her face. I said, fuck, open it back, put it back, open the door. Dave rushed in, had me on the floor, face down, hands behind my back, a little clip around the back of the head, and that was it. I was arrested. You know, and I just thought, that's it, I'm going down.
How was that first night in prison, and how did you feel?
And I remember going into the cell, and it was just shocking with Thai inmates. There was about 80 inmates in the cell, and it was like a tin of sardines. There was no space whatsoever. And I looked around at all the eyes looking up at me. And I had to put that mask on again. I was terrified, you know, but I was acting brave at the same time, like that little bit of a swagger. And I went in, I got ordered to sleep in the corner next to this guy who'd passed away. They've got strobe lights on 24 hours a day. You go out in the morning, you know, the sun's hitting you at 6, 7 in the morning when you get opened up. You're out until about 5 in the evening. It's still light. You put in your cell. The lights are on in your cell. You've got a hard concrete floor. There's no mattresses. You know, I'm sleeping next to a toilet. You know, people are in and out. There's no privacy. You know, and I'm eating food and it's causing problems in my stomach, and I've got diarrhea and I'm sick all the time. I'm still suffering withdrawals with these drugs. You know, I'm using on the slight, and you can't really use anything anywhere. You had to go to like the toilets, put a blanket over you. I mean, the toilets outside in the compound where people were selling their bodies. They'd have makeshift tents, and they'd be selling their bodies for cigarettes and, you know, sticky rice and mango.
How were your fellow inmates treating you, and I suppose how were the guards treating you being a foreigner?
Well, I was very volatile and reactive, and I couldn't communicate with them, and that was a struggle. I'm trying to explain to them how I felt, and, you know, telling someone I was feeling sad and I felt lonely and hurt, and, you know, not being able to convey that to them, to the Thais, was really difficult. And if they'd speak to me and I could sense they were speaking to me with a bit of venom, then I'd react and I'd be fighting with them. Now, the Thais, they don't fight on their own. There's never a one-to-one. They call it mamu, which is like a pack of dogs. You hit one, they all jump on you. And I had that a few times. And I remember coming out the first morning and getting involved in a fight with these 3 foreigners, these 2 Australians and an Iranian. One hit me over the head with a chair, one punched me in the head with these metal rings. I'm biting this other one. I don't want to go down, because I know if I go down, I'm not getting up. The whistle blows, guards come running, they break it up. I've got blood all over me, this kid's got blood all over him. I get taken to the hospital. I'm sitting in this chair. These Thais are looking at me and they're laughing at me. And I'm already feeling lousy about what's happened. And I've reacted and I threw a punch at this kid, this Thai medic, and then I'd been hit over the head with a bat. Knocked me out. And I remember waking up to this, I thought it was a girl, dabbing cotton wool over these cuts. I thought, wow, she's beautiful. Who is she? Oh, it's a lady boy, you know. And with her showing me some compassion and understanding and empathy, you know, it was nice to feel that kind of intimacy, if you can understand me. I was transferred to Klong Prem, Bangkok prison after about a year of being in Chiang Mai. In Chiang Mai, there was over 4,000 inmates, and that was a small prison. When I went to Bangkok, you know, I had 20,000 inmates, so it was a different kind of a deal there. And I was warned that, you know, Bangkok was a lot more dangerous than, you know, Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai was more forgiving. I remember sitting by this library one afternoon, and this young Thai has ran past me, and I seen another Thai running behind him, and he had a knife in his hand. The guy with the knife's getting closer. Then suddenly, a Thai next to me's come running out with, you know, it's just a metal chair. I just stopped this kid in his tracks and whacked him right across the face. He's hit the floor. This guy's on him and he's stabbing him, and it's a knife. It's not a homemade knife, it's a proper knife. And he's stabbing him. And the death shots, they're going in the neck, they're going in the lungs. It's just cold, calculated, not in a frenzy. He's just stabbing him in the back, in the legs. And the screams were absolutely inhumane. It was coming from the very, you know, depths of his bowel. It was horrible. And I just stood there, like transfixed. I couldn't intervene. It was like it was happening in slow motion. I looked around, the crowd started to gather, there was about 50 people, and they were screaming, "Calm man, calm man, calm man." And I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I do now. It means kill him. And that's what they were all chanting, kill him, kill him, kill him. And these two commanders just casually walked over after the crowd had dispersed. The guy with the knife had got off. He's on the floor in a pool of blood. I'm still standing there. There's a couple of other foreigners with me. We're all like looking at each other in disbelief. They go to the body, the commanders kick it, notice it's not moving, it's lifeless. They get someone to bring a trolley in, put the body on it, and just cart it out.
The Muay Thai boxing, are you able to talk about your experiences with that?
I'd had enough. You know, I didn't want to fight in the prison. I didn't want to be put in these cells on my own or left to rot. I thought I'm going to fight back. All the other Thais looked at me, you know, with suspicion, and I got a pair of mitts, put them on, started punching away at the bag. And they seen that I had a few skills, and Thais loved to bet, you know what I mean? So they said, look, we've got the Songkran, which is the Thai New Year. I think it's in April, and they have these big shows. You know, I got friendly with the boxing coach. He wanted to put me in with one of his best boxers called Pon. I remember getting in the ring that afternoon to cheers and applause, and, you know, people putting bets on me, and, you know, it was an incredible feeling, and I fought that guy and I beat him, and it was the respect I received from the rest of the prison and, you know, the boxers was heartwarming. The feelings it gave me, you know, it was better than any drug I've ever took, and I'd always like regretted not having a career in boxing. I don't know. It kind of humbled me. It gave me that discipline and that routine. It allowed me to face my fears.
How long in total were you in prison in Thailand, and what year were you released?
I was there 3 years. I went in 2005, I got released from Thailand, England, September 2010, Wandsworth, London.
And how did you feel upon your release?
I felt it was it was culture shock. I was finding I struggled to adapt to the UK way of living. I was comparing the price of everything, the people. You know, I was very subservient. It was yes sir, no sir. You know, I was beaten down when I was in Thailand. You know, you had to really be below the guard. So everything, even like the screws in Wandsworth were quite like, look, but you're here now. They put me in prison in Wandsworth and I took away the mattress and slept on the floor. But then I wrote about it. And I thought to me, that was the most therapeutic thing I could do was write. Because, you know, I couldn't escape the words on the paper.
How did you manage to get back onto a straight path from that point?
So, well, for me, it was like a detox initially, you know, get off what you was on. I knew there was a way out because I'd been there before. I just had to kind of put this into to play, you know, apply it to my life. Gets through the detox, gets myself back into recovery. I thought, okay, I need to start, you know, building a bridge to normal living, get a job, you know, get yourself a house, get a car, all the stuff that we're meant to do in life and get. You know, and I think I got it too quick. I wrote a book that became like a bestseller within 6 months, which was quite bizarre. Then it became a movie, and like I was overwhelmed with producers and people knocking at my door and ringing me up, and actors getting, you know, casted for this role, and scripts and directors, and it was like, oh my, you know, and I didn't know how to deal with it all, you know, and then I get it with cancer, stage 3, you know, in the midst of it all. And my dad had just passed away the year before, and I was put on chemo, and I went from 16 stone to 9 stone within 12 weeks. Lost all my hair. I got a big payout to this from this movie. Work paid me even though I couldn't go in. I had credit cards, I had loads of money. I was clean for 5 years. I hit the road hard running and spent every penny I had. I thought I was going to die anyway. I'm going to go out with a bang. Finished the course of chemo. There was nothing left of me. I lost my house, I lost my car. I went to the oncologist, sat there thinking, okay, I'll accept my demise, this is it. You know, and he went, Mr. Moore, you're okay, you know, glad to say you're gonna be fine. You've cleared the cancer. And I went, what? What do you mean? I was like, you having a laugh? I said, I owe all kinds of money out and I've got to, he went, calm down. He said, at least you need to pay the bills.
And how are you now?
Brilliant. They said I couldn't have kids. I've never had children. You know, now I've got a 2-year-old. Yeah, so he's a miracle, so yeah. And forgive me for being emotional because kind of like, it's always something that I've wanted in my life is to nurture a little me and allow sort of like him to have his choices and you know, do what he'd like to do instead of being beaten and battered. And I could never imagine like hating him the way I was hating, you know what I mean? It's given me like that opportunity to change someone else and bring them up the right way.
I had to strip down to next to nothing, grease up, put a towel over the cut section of bar of the window so it wouldn't scratch my back, and levered myself out, while Sten wrenched that up just another little inch, probably strangling everybody he'd always hated since childhood, but just enough for me to get out.